In today's video, we're talking about a very serious offense in Arizona. It's called sexual assault, also known as rape. Today we're going to talk about the different elements that are required under the law for a person to be charged with rape or sexual assault, and what the different penalties are and how they work under the law. So let's take a look at where the law is housed. It's under A.R.S. 13-1406, and these are the different elements that are involved in the law. It's pretty straightforward. It's that a person is intentionally or knowingly engaging in the following conduct. Intentionally or knowingly are important. It means you can't be charged with sexual assault accidentally or recklessly. You have to know what you're doing, or you have to intend to engage in this type of conduct. Once these two elements are met, a person then needs to engage in sexual intercourse or sexual contact, and these are very specific terms of art here. These are defined elsewhere in the sexual offenses statutes. So you want to look up what those are and make sure that if you're being accused of this crime, that you know that that conduct falls within these legal definitions. But it's essentially knowingly engaging in sexual contact with another person without their consent. So it's without consent. This is also a very, very big term of art in the law. There's a lot of different ways that without consent is defined, and it's defined clearly in the law. You can look to the definitions portion of it. I also have a different video about that. But if you have all of these different elements, a person can be charged with sexual assault, and the penalties are very, very severe. So let's take a look at what they are. First and foremost, in Arizona, as a quick recap, we have 6 different classes of felony offenses. Class 1 is the most serious. It's reserved for homicide and murder. Class 6 is the lowest level that we have, and then we have 2, 3, 4, and 5 in between. Sexual assault cases are class 2s, one level below the homicide crimes, so it's very, very serious. Under the law and in this statute, it defines what a prison term is that's applicable or required under this statute. So first and foremost, this is a minimum sentence of 5.25 years in prison, a maximum sentence of 14 years in prison, and what's called a presumptive term of 7 years, meaning all things being equal, everybody's going to start basically at this 7-year term in prison. You can minimize it or you can maximize it based upon aggravating factors or mitigating factors, but everybody's starting at these 7 years. It's very, very serious. This is even for a first-time offense with no priors. So sexual assault, if it's for a person who's under the age of 15, meaning they're not 15, they're anything that's under that age, you're going to be sentenced under 13-705. It's called DCAC. It's called Dangerous Crimes Against Children. Special additional penalties, extremely harsh. If anybody who is involved in this case is under the age of 15, it's going to require you to look at this statute, 13-705. It's a big, long statute. There's a lot that goes into it. So make sure when you're speaking with an attorney, you reference that. You want to know how they are analyzing 13-705 as it pertains to your case. Next, if there was any use of drugs committed or used during the commission of the sexual assault case, it's going to add 3 years to this term here, to this prison term. So that means it's essentially the date rape type of a drug. So if a person is given drugs and they're intoxicated and they're passed out and they're not able to consent and there's a sexual assault committed upon that person, they're going to add 3 years to any of these prison terms. So even the minimum is going to have an additional 3 years just due to the fact that there were drugs used. Next, if there was any serious physical injury that was caused to the person who had the sexual assault upon them, then it's going to essentially be a lifetime in prison. It's 25 years to life, and you have to serve 25 of those years before you're going to be able to do anything about the rest of your term, but a judge can sentence you all the way up to lifetime. So this is when somebody has a serious disfigurement, broken bones, something that is going to cause the court and the prosecutor's office to view this as a serious physical injury. It's going to extremely, extremely be problematic. It's going to aggravate the case significantly. Also, there's increased penalties for additional or subsequent convictions. So let's say, for example, a person had a sexual assault conviction many years ago and they got charged with another one. That's going to be considered a prior. These penalties are for a first offense. They're going to be significantly worse and harsher depending upon a person's priors. And finally, if a person has prior sexual assaults or they're convicted on multiple dates of offenses or they've got a couple of these that are stacking on top of one another, each one of these sentences has to run in what's called a consecutive manner, meaning you have to finish the first one before you can start the second one. In some other situations, you can run sentences in what's called concurrent fashion, meaning if you've been charged with 3 crimes, you can start the sentence for all 3 of those crimes at the same time, and complete them simultaneously. Not so with sexual assault. They have to be run consecutively. It's in the statute. So this is a very serious offense. Now, people, when they see this charge, there's obviously a lot of social stigma around it, very passionate responses to these things. I want to just remind everybody, in the United States, just because you've been charged with sexual assault, it does not mean that you've been convicted of it. Just the fact that you've been charged with it doesn't mean anything else. You haven't been proven guilty yet. You have not been found guilty by a jury. You have not agreed to plead guilty. You have a right to a presumption of innocence. You have a right to due process. You have a right to a very strong defense. And that's what we do here. At our law firm, we do criminal defense. We help a lot of people through these situations. We've seen many people who've been accused of sexual assault because there's a big issue around consent or not. Somebody has remorse over the fact that they may have had sexual relations. Now they're going to be claiming that they didn't actually give their consent. So there's a lot of argument around it. Just because somebody's been charged with it doesn't mean that they're guilty. They have a right to the presumption of innocence, and they have a right to a strong defense. So if you or somebody you know or love has been charged with sexual assault, make sure you give us a call. We have a great team here. We'll help make sure you understand how this works, how it pertains to your case, what our strategy is to help you move forward and move beyond this, and most importantly, have a plan. So give us a call. We schedule free case evaluations. We'll spend a significant amount of time with you on a case like this. We look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks for watching.